the transference of genes from one organism to another organism. So basically we say that a genetically modified organism is one that would have received new genes or have had some of their own genes modified using molecular techniques or altered in a way that does not occur naturally. And a living modified organism, which we abbreviate as LMO, is as the name suggests, are living organisms which are genetically modified. Okay. Now, in terms of the categories of living modified organisms and in terms of use, we see that they can be used for intentional introduction into the environment. And I'm sure we'll have some discussion in this area, because that is really a hot spot. You can have living modified organism intended for direct use as food or feed or for processing. For example, in agricultural commodities such as corn, canola, which is grown in North America, and cotton. And you can have LMOs for content use in laboratories and so on. These are experimented with and can be used for remedial work in terms of cleaning up oil slicks and other unwanted stuff within the environment. Now there's one gentleman, Clive James. He presented this information whereby we looked at modern biotechnology as rapidly increasing, and that even within the developing countries, because the red line shows the rate at which developing countries are accepting biotech crops or are getting involved in biotech crops. The blue line indicate the industrialized countries. The green line represents the total hectares of biotech crops which are planted. And this slide, or this data was collected in 2012. From 1996 to 2012 data is presented here. The countries in green show all those that are involved in producing biotech plants, biotech crops. And even now is 2015, West Africa, from all reports, have adopted biotech crops, biotech plants, and so forth. So from this data, it shows that biotechnology is fast increasing and has been fast adopted, and as pointed out earlier, to help within the agricultural production system so that agricultural production can realize higher yields, increase quality of plant products, and also pest tolerance or resistance. The data also show that there have been a number of crops that are commercially approved, genetically modified crops, and those for insect resistance that have been named maize. We can see damage caused by the corn earworm, and with a biotech crop, there is no damage. With potato beetle, tremendous damage there, and you can see with reduced insect damage, you can have a better yield of potato. In terms of cotton, the cotton bollworm affect the lintz, and with what is called BT cotton, again, that's another area of discussion. We have soybean, again, the damage from insects. And if they, with insect-resistant soybean, there is less damage. Commercially approved GM crops in terms of virus resistance, we have the papaya ring spot, and we notice on that fruit, as the name implies, there are those rings on the leaf, we can see the mottling of the leaves, and even in the squash. But with transgenic papaya, there is a greater improvement in the product quality. There's also herbicide-tolerant crops, for instance, soybean, where there's a chemical known as Roundup Ready. It's sprayed over the soybean crop, kill the weeds, but it does not kill the plant. Canola, similarly for canola, cotton, and sugar beet. So they are herbicide-tolerant, genetically modified, and these are commercial crops that are on the U.S. market. And of course, St. Vincent and the Grenadines import a lot of stuff. As a matter of fact, we have become possibly net importers of food. And most of our soy product and corn are coming from the United States, and these are countries that are involved in biotech plants and biotech crops. We see the figure there of nearly 2 million kilograms of soybean being imported over an 11-year period from 2001 to 2011 from Canada, and almost 1 million kilograms of corn from Canada, 18 million kilograms from the United States of soy product, and 30 to 31 million kilograms of corn from the United States. So in terms of volume, we are seeing close to 53 million kilograms of soy products and corn at a value of nearly 71 million East Caribbean dollars in just an 11-year period. So it must bring to our mind for us to take stock of the levels of importation. And these must be of concern to interest groups, and they must be of concern to the authorities, such that the agricultural system can look at food security for its population, which is very vital. Now, in terms of the biotechnology issues, the scientists claim that GMOs, the processes by which GMOs are produced are not inherently dangerous, they're not inherently bad, but the resulting GMOs may have characteristics that change their impact on their environment, and that includes human and animal health. On the converse, others would argue that they are not inherently good either, and so there are potential risks that can develop, that can occur from the use of modern biotechnology, unintended negative effects. Things such as genes may cause allergies. GMOs may get into the food chain, and you can have GMO plants that may interact with the local plant population, and of course these can become invasive. They can wipe out your local population, which you need for pollination purposes and other things. So the environment as a whole can be disrupted because of unintended negative effects of the use of LMOs and genetically modified organisms within the environment. Now, what has happened internationally is that there was a Convention on Biological Diversity, of course, through the United Nations, and on the 29th of January 2000, adopted a supplementary agreement, which this supplementary agreement is known as the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. And this protocol entered into force on the 11th of September 2003. And currently, according to the data, there are 163 parties to the protocol. And so St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a signatory to the Convention on Biological Diversity and also to the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. Being a signatory, one is obligated to these protocols, to carry out these protocols. Now, the Cartagena Protocol is an international treaty that seeks to protect biological diversity from the risks posed by the LMOs and GMOs, and seeks to establish credible and effective safeguards for the transfer, handling, and use of the genetically modified organisms to ensure adequate protection of human health and the